What's up, everybody? It's Crazy Mike 1706. In this video, I got some very special guests, and that's why it's not an actual video, but in audio type. And there are two important things that I really wanted to talk about. And of course, I wanted more people to get into it. And this has to do, of course, with Larry Sweeney passing away, and of course, Edge's retirement. And I'm joined by our good friend Adam. Of course, Monoxide, as always, everybody knows he's a good friend of mine. So go ahead, Monoxide, introduce yourself on your channel.
Yeah, Monoxide, go fuck yourself. Monoxide 1234455. Yeah, that's not my phone number, you dipshits. So yeah.
There we go. I'm also joined by Elton.
Yo, I don't have much to say, so.
And of course our good friend Vic, better known as LV5454. Awesome too. Check his vids out at any time. Anything you want to say, LV?
Yeah, like I know y'all been asking me about Skype all the time. Skype is LV5451, or is Vic, however y'all want to do it like that.
I talked to you on Skype before.
All right, that's awesome. Now, for you guys that have been checking out Ring of Honor, okay, you guys know who Larry Sweeney is. Now, some people say I'm exaggerating, but can you guys agree with this statement I'm about to make? He is by far has been the best manager. Maybe Paul Heyman could give him competition in the last 20 years, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say it's definitely between him and Paul Heyman.
Actually, when I faded out of ROH for a few years, and I came back to it in 2007, he was one of the main reasons why I got back into it. You know, the whole Sweet and Sour clique. That was just really, really cool.
And
You know,
if I say in 2007, he was not just in Ring of Honor, but in American wrestling or wrestling around. He was probably the top three character that they had. He was.
One reason why Larry Sweeney is so awesome, or was so awesome, is because there's a guy like Bobby Dempsey who, he barely even, is ever on the card. He barely shows his face. But when he comes out, the reason people chant his name is because of Larry Sweeney. And he's a guy who barely, can work in the ring. I mean, he's good for his size, but the reason people chant his name is because of Larry Sweeney.
Yep. That's what I said in my video. I pretty much said it in my video. Bobby Dempsey would not be as over as without Larry Sweeney being who he was.
I agree.
And for a guy that got in the Ring of Honor around 2009, I didn't know too much about him, but what really stood out to me was that I looked at a YouTube video not that long ago where it showed Larry Sweeney, I guess, kind of botching a promo. I guess he was kind of promoting a website. It's on YouTube if you ever try to look for it. Basically, he was botching a promo. He wanted to start all over again, and it made it seem like as if it was part of the promo, and it basically described him as saying even he can make a bad promo look good. So I think that really stood out. So I wouldn't really argue with people who say he is one of the best managers in the modern era right now. So that's one thing that stood out for me.
see, and like A Stone said, it wouldn't be a stretch to put him up there with guys like, Jim Cornette or Bobby the Brain Heenan, because the guy was just that good, man. He was amazing on the mic. He knew how to control a crowd. Good-looking guy, handsome-looking, knew how to dress. And I'm sorry to go off topic here, but I hate the term no homo, because if you're not gay, you have nothing to worry about. And second of all, there's nothing wrong with saying another man is good looking. You know when another man is good looking. You know when another man is capable of taking your girl. So I'm not gonna say no homo, but again, man, he just had the total package. And if he would have went to the WWE, even as much as of a joke the Hall of Fame is, he would have definitely been a Hall of Famer, hands down, no problem. What you was gonna say, Mono?
Yeah, I was telling this early, and it really sparked yesterday. I talked to AG Vito. I said this in my video too, but he's actually in the business, like he actually rests in the business or refer in the business, and he this right around a month or two after seeing Ring of Honor had their out. There was a notice that this guy was starting to really lose his mind by doing this whole backyard run thing that he was in for a weekend, and apparently he not his meds around that point, and he was showing the word spiral, and that he was acting absolutely crazy. So the signs were there years before this happened, and apparently this is I on this separately. He suffered depression his whole life. And the fact that he was in that he was in a car accident and then got somebody else hurt in the car, and just remember that moment because I had not thought about it since until yesterday when I found out the news, and remembering that he told me that they were born on right there. So.
Is this true that I don't know if this is true, but this is what I can't remember who told me this. But was Larry Sweeney like a cocaine addict? Like, did he do coke like that?
I really don't know, and I don't really want to talk about that, because everybody has their demons here and there, and I don't really want to downgrade the talent that he had.
That could lead to like being more depressed than he actually was. That's all. That's the reason.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said that's the only reason why. If he had like really bad depression like that, cocaine might have intrigued that even more than it was.
I mean, I know he was bipolar, but I don't know anything about that. That's why I'm not even going to bring it up. I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything if, I'm not 100% sure of it because I just feel that's not right. But yeah, and another side note, it's crazy to see that some of the greatest minds in our history were people who had mental problems. As crazy as it may sound, that is the case, and it's sad to see, man. This guy was extremely talented, but things like this happen. But and now on to what just happened with Edge. Wow. LV, I guess we could start it off with you, bro.
I know a lot of people say that it was more of a shock that he did retire, but for me, it really wasn't. Those of y'all who are not aware, Edge for like maybe the past couple of years, got a house where I live at in my home state of North Carolina. And there was a local article where he talked about how he was thinking about retiring in the next couple of years. Now, this was around WrestleMania 26 time that he was contemplating of doing this. So, I was kind of expecting for him to retire at least somewhere this year, but not just all of a sudden like he did last night. So I wouldn't say it was a shock for me, but I am happy for Edge for leaving the business when it's appropriate for it. And, I would say it's a great story for him for his whole career. I mean, the fact that he won all these titles, he was King of the Ring, Royal Rumble winner, main event at WrestleMania with The Undertaker, multiple-time world champion, multiple-time tag team champion, Intercontinental, United States. I mean, the list goes on and on for this guy. And the fact he came back from multiple injuries and still doing what he loves to do, I mean, it's a great story. Kind of unfortunate it had to end on the note that it did. And one thing that is very interesting that I have been noticing is that each time he was injured, for the most part, he was a champion. He was tag team champion. He had to relinquish it. World champion, he got to relinquish the title. I think he was also Intercontinental champion at the same time. So very interesting stuff with injuries and him being champion as well. So I'm happy for him as far as him leaving. When he needs to, because if he stayed, like the article said, he would have been dead or in a wheelchair, and we don't want to have that on our hands. We don't want to be selfish for that.
To be
exactly,
honest,
and it brings up an interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, Adam. Can you continue?
No, I was gonna say, to be honest with you, I think Edge left on like the best note possible because he went out winning WrestleMania and he's the champ. I mean, it's just a perfect way for me to go out. The guy has won. I think he's won more championships or world titles than anybody but Triple H, if I'm not mistaken, and Ric Flair, of course. But I think it was a perfect way for him to go out, honestly.
Also, like another thing I just noticed too was that I was at WrestleMania, so to be there for his last match is really something as well. It's like I was like, dang, I was there for his last match, and to be there at WrestleMania, even though it wasn't an opening match, it's very crazy too. So.
As awkward as this may sound, in some ways, Eddie Edwards' story is like Edge's, because Eddie Edwards, he was this guy who was like unknown, who did have a little bit of a following, got a little bit more popular, but they gave him a new look, they gave him more opportunities, and they put him in the right spot, and look where he's at right now. And Edge was kind of like that too, you know. He was always popular to some extent, but there was just something that needed to be changed. It was just something, and they repackaged him. They let him talk on the mic more. They let him show a lot more personality, and look what can happen. And that just goes to show, man, if you give the right people the right opportunities, you can create big stars like this, and it's not that hard to do. And he embodies the fact that, you know, again, you can make stars and not necessarily have to push them down people's throat like they try to do with Sheamus and whatnot, if you guys know what I mean. And Mano, I think it looks like he was going to say something, so go ahead.
Well, no, I remember when I was watching wrestling and when I saw Edge debut in WWE, this was what, 98, I want to say? Around 98, he had debuted. So I was like watching wrestling about 3 years at that point. I remember seeing this guy, and it had been done before, probably had been done before, but when I first saw him, like, he was an interesting character because he was the first wrestler I had seen come from the audience. Like, he didn't from the entrance way. He was the guy that came from the audience, and he was Edge. He was just the guy that just in there, this freaking head off and this daddly do. But then all of a sudden, when he started going into the Brood with what would be his brother Christian, who are now apparently aren't brothers, they're friends. But anyways, when they got in Brood, that's when I started to notice like okay, there's more edge than I gave him for just coming from the audience and screaming. And then eventually, when they broke off of that, and it just became Edge and Christian, Edge really started to show some personality. Like started to show that he was like he can entertain the crowd. Like you said, one thing, something missing there that part in him from being like a true main eventer. And I think around 2004 or 2005 when he was heel, and then tried to go the rated R start. That's when we started to realize his potential as an event. To watch his first match as a kid, and then all of a sudden being there live for his last match, and WWE's talking out here, but that's crazy because I like to hear I was there. Shawn's match was there at the time. I was there to watch his first match. Shawn might have been wrestling in WWE for a couple of years before I got into it. But to see from Edge, from the time I started watching him in WWE till now, is crazy. I pretty much watched the big to end of Edge. So it's interesting thing. How it all plays.
You know, I got a very good question for you guys. Here's a very interesting one. We're gonna start with you, Adam, then go to Elton, then of course Vic and Mano. So now you guys know the pattern, so we can be more organized. There's been a lot of controversy about this and debate. Did John Cena put Edge over? Because here's the thing. You can make the argument, well, Edge was already a star, but the feud with Cena was the one that turned him into a superstar. Now there is debate. What do you guys think about it?
For me, this is just me. I'm not really the biggest Edge fan in the world. I never really bought him as a main eventer. That's just me. But if one guy I think really put him over the top, just for my taste, that I think he legit, to me, looked like a main eventer was when he faced The Undertaker at Mania. Because, dude, that match Edge looked like a fucking $1 million, to be honest with you. So that just did it for me. I would say Undertaker did it more for me than John Cena.
Elton, where are you?
Yo.
It's your
Edge thing. Actually, when I got back into wrestling in 2006, he was one of the first guys I saw get put in the main event. At the time, I didn't really know what Money in the Bank was. I wasn't really up on that, but I didn't see him as a main eventer right away. But I think over that summer, when he kept defending, I mean, he won dirty every time, but I guess that somewhat put him over as a main eventer. Like, you know, his whole feud with, he feuded with Cena over the summer, right?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, it built him up as a main eventer, but it was still kind of hard to see. But I think what solidified it was his Undertaker match.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, like
I drifted in and out. Sorry.
I think the thing with Edge and Cena at that time when Edge was feuding with Cena, many people considered Edge at that time a transitional champion or a fluke champion. I mean, if you can think back to when Edge won the belt for the first time, he did it the Money in the Bank cash in, and even though that was a shocking thing, people were like, that's not really believable. Take him as a main eventer, and that was pretty evident when he lost the belt maybe 3 weeks later to Cena at the Royal Rumble, and then the whole thing with him winning back the belt. People say, well, he only won that because RVD was smoking weed, and then so he had to drop the belt, and then he lost it to Cena eventually. Maybe 2 months later. So even though I would say it was a great feud, I wouldn't say that really put Edge over as a main eventer. And I agree with Adam and Elton said, the fact he feuded with the Undertaker afterwards at WrestleMania and at SummerSlam, that really put him over as a main eventer. I think what really told me he was a main eventer really was that entrance he made at WrestleMania 24. There was a part where they did a real big close up on Edge walking on the aisle, and he just looked like the champion. He looked like he belonged in the ring with the Undertaker, walking into that ring right there. And I was saying, yes, this guy made it. This guy is the guy to maybe quite possibly end the Undertaker streak. So I would say the Undertaker as well.
I'm gonna have to unanimously agree with you because here's the problem with 2006 and his feud with Cena. Much like any guy that faced Cena, they were not allowed to look better than Cena, no matter who they were, whether it be Nexus, whether it be Miz, whether it be Joe Blow. No, for whatever reason, is allowed to be any better than Cena. They look better than Cena for one night. They have always fuck it up for whatever reason. And Edge is no exception, because they had Edge win the Money in the Bank and cash in Cena after he was durable. And thinking, okay, they're going to put him over. Only three later, he loses title to Cena. And through the whole entire feud, yeah, Edge is the heel, and he's making cheap shots, but at the same time, you have to make us believe he belongs in the ring with Cena, and they didn't do a good job of that. So while merchandise-wise, yes, probably went up, the of the main eventer, that didn't look strong for him at all. It's like the Miz now. While people are probably buying Miz's merchandise, he's still not a believable eventer because he's always looking vulnerable against guys like Orton and Cena. He's taking a backseat to John Cena and Rock. But with Edge, I thought what made a main eventer was his feud with the Taker, because that was the only time where he allowed to go in the ring with somebody considered the man, the company, and was allowed to go in there and look like he could have beaten the guy. He didn't have to win, just like he could have won, and did that the Undertaker, especially at WrestleMania 4 when he almost ended the streak. That's what satisfied me with him main eventer. Definitely not his feud, because he just looked way too weak in that feud. And
the thing I want to bring up is, it's not that I'm disagreeing with you guys, but can you guys agree with this statement? If his feud with The Undertaker is like playing in the NFL, I would say his feud with Cena was his collegiate career, if you know what I mean. Do you guys get what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the feud with Cena, although some people can say, oh, you guys make very good arguments, I think it really helped him, really showcase his talent, like, for example, how good he is on the mic, how good he can play his roles, and a lot more fans started getting behind him a lot more. So I just feel if that feud with Cena hadn't happened, the impact of what he did with Taker wouldn't have been so high, So although you can say that his feud with Taker is what got him to that superstar level, you can't deny that the feud with Cena didn't help him. You know what I mean? To me, it did.
But
for a lot
let me ask you this though: how much of an impact would it have made if they would have allowed Edge to look better than as good as Cena? If he would have allowed to just as Cena in that feud, imagine the impact that it would have made when Edge went with the Undertaker and really swerved the fans into thinking that he could have won at WrestleMania 24. Because I start believing he could win until like in the middle of the match. If he would look good in that feud with Cena, probably weeks before the match happened, I could have can actually the Undertaker or Edge. To me, it would have made more of an impact. But like always, Cena gotta look better than everybody else. So
I mean, in hindsight, there's really no way of telling. There's really no way of telling. Somebody was going to say something?
I was gonna say it just proves how fucking awesome Undertaker is, and he doesn't care to put somebody over.
Exactly.
It just proves that he doesn't have a fucking ego like all these other guys have.
Pretty much.
So, any closing thoughts?
I just want to say that I was glad. Like I said, I'm going to be there to watch Edge's first match or first Raw match, and to be watching his last match on WrestleMania. It was interesting to watch him. For time I was, let's see, 8 years old till now. That's a long time. That watching Oprah.
I'm glad that. Honestly, I got to see one of the best managers in the last 20 years, like Mike said, live at a Ring of Honor show, and he's one of the best, and there ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think
Ain't no doubt about it.
I'm gonna agree with Meltzer on this. If Sweeney was around 20 years ago, he would have been considered a legend by now. Not just a legend, he'd be on the tier of Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart.
Definitely.
Rest in peace.
So, all right, gentlemen. Yep, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Larry Sweeney. Thank you, Adam Copeland, for everything you've done.
Yes.
And one more thing, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling here, but I think the WWE should really now consider, tuning down the schedule. But Vince doesn't care. So, in closing, it's been ours 187187 Monoxide, Elton, and of course our man LV5454. Thank you guys.
Later.
Peace.